but getting into some field goal kicking. So just some nice, easy drills, part of our daily warm up. I'm a big believer in doing our no steps, which we'll talk about shortly on the end line, and then just aiming for the goalpost here, in all of it, whether you're snapping, kicking, shooting a gun, like aim small, miss small, and just really dialing in with our target line. And it gets those guys, some people will do it down the 5 yard line or whatnot, but at least, hey, we're seeing something up high and something we're aiming for, incorporating some height on our kicks and everything too. But literally, no step, like it implies, like we're not taking a step. And the whole premise of this is just making good ball contact. And I did get my deal adjusted so I can see questions. So if something comes up as I'm going through this stuff, please ask, especially where we got it on task. So at least it makes sense and we're not jumping back and forth. But we're on their sticks. So as this thing's going, want good solid ball contact. And the premise of what we want is at contact, we want our plant foot towards our target. We want our hips towards our target. So nice and square here because we're going literally right down the line. We want a good tall body. He's crunching just a little bit, but we don't want to be like leaning too far forward over it. And then as far as foot contact, it's kind of hard to tell here, but we want our toe just slightly below our heel. And, it's not completely rolled over soccer style, but we want to open up that top of the foot, so you're letting that big old metatarsal on top, do all the work and create the pop with it. But like when a picture's taken, again, toe slightly below the heel line, hips, plant foot, knee on the opposite, everything is going towards target. And then another big thing is those guys understanding we want to try to kick through 2 footballs. So a lot of guys, as soon as contact happens, they're going to wrap their hips and everything and really fall off to the left. We really want to try to get through. And that's why I like it on the line, because you're standing and watching as contact's made, like after I kick it, like this thing should go through the target pretty well here, through 2-3 footballs. And then it's eventually going to fall off late, but we want that thing going to our target line, eliminating as much of a swipe as I can. Naturally, these guys are going to want to use their hips as in soccer and bring their hip through and everything, and all their lower body goes hard left. And if it times up really well, it works and it's pretty. But the name of our game is giving ourselves room for error and just getting through the football. So if something's off a little bit, the spot's off, operation time, our plant foot's not quite where it's supposed to be, at least we're getting through the ball and give ourselves a chance to succeed with what we're wanting to do. And then obviously it doesn't hit the deal here, but really close, like, a clean ball, we can live with it. So another shot here as this thing plays out. I'll show you in slow-mo here, but you can really see just how much he falls off back on this one. Where the last one, he skipped through and was good. And obviously this ball goes way right, but just kind of out of sorts here. So again, slowing it down here as this thing's playing out. Now our hips are turned a lot more to the right. And it's really hard to tell, but our foot is what we call neutral. So his toe is even with his heel. So his foot's like clubbed open, just like a golf club. So whenever that happens there, like my slice game is terrible. If my toe's not below my heel, my foot gives. So as soon as the contact's made with the foot, my toe, everything opens up, and it's going to cause things to slice right just a little bit, and you're not going to have control of the ball. But again, hips are going right, toes neutral, and that's why he's falling off back to the left, just because not everything's in line with what he's trying to do. So we start with no steps down the line. And then the very next drill we progress to is 1 steps. So, I mean, just as it implies, like he'll take a small little jab, but really taking 1 step into the ball. So the biggest point for you guys is watching kickers is watching their hips. So as this thing's going on, we don't want our hips to jump up into it. And it's very, like, a lot of soccer guys will do it, but what's the reasoning is this jump can, is like this in practice, and we're warming up, and then you get the head coach around you and it gets a little crazy. Now my jump gets a little higher, and then, hey, it's a game winner. And then, hey, my jump's big. And then, okay, now I'm too deep in my plant, my foot's not where it's supposed to be. It just adds variables to what we're doing. So really, as this things go, you're watching it, and as you watch it, you'll be able to see it in real life, but these hips should not go up at all. Like, he has a slight jump, but we can live with this. But perfect, like those hips stay nice plane. He comes right into his plant foot and life's good. You see those hips going up and he's jumping into the ball, is what the kickers will say. That's where you get yourself in trouble. So nice and smooth into it. Again, as this thing's playing out, I like where his plant foot is, going right to the target. His hips are a little bit to the right. His hips are kind of at the skinny here. So we got to get our hips a little bit more square through it. But ball contact's pretty good. And again, just talking about kicking through 2 balls. So contact's made and his foot's going to the target through 2 to 3 footballs. And then I'm going to fall off late. That's all part of it. But hey, we get a good clean ball. And again, we talked about room for error. His hips aren't at the target. His hips are going right. But since he got through the ball here, everything goes nice and straight and hits that thing right dead center. And life's pretty good. So got our next shot here as this thing's playing out. So again, talking our 1 step. So they'll take a small little jab, which is fine. Now on this one, again, here you can see his hips go up a lot more than the last one. Again, we're going slow-mo now to exaggerate it so you can really see it. But as you guys do this and start watching, you'll be able to point it out to the kids really, really easy. Now, because of that, he jumps into it. Now his plant foot, is going more towards the opposite goalpost right there. Not everything straight target-wise. Now his hips are really turned to the right, as you guys are seeing this. And it all started with that big jump. So now to try to get the ball here, he has to swipe his hips through. And it ends up getting off his toe. And it ends up working out here. But again, talking room for error and stuff, we'll see here in a second where that can become disastrous. And the very hard thing about kicking is, like, you can get away with some mistakes and it will work out just because it times up. But again, we're really trying to get these guys to understand, hey, room for error. We don't need to hit like this big, pretty A ball all the time. Like, hey, we just got to be consistent and get that thing through the goalpost. There's no style points. 3 points is 3 points. Help us win some games. So next one is this thing's going. So now we're transitioning into fulls. So we did our no steps as we're warming up. Now we did our 1 steps, and now we're fulls off the sticks. So again, you got your jab, drive step. Again, here as this thing's playing out, you can see those hips go up, like he's not gliding into it as much as he needs to. Really don't like where his hips are. And again, it's hard to see because it's blurry, but his foot's really neutral. Like his heel and his toe are flat and even. And again, with the hips going right, he has to pull everything back through to make it time up, and everything goes hard left just because he finishes so much more left, all off of that jump into the ball, gets his hips out of whack, puts him in a tough spot there. So one other thing, for your kickers, they all want to kick off sticks, but if you got a couple kickers, you got a younger guy and whatnot, I think the cool term now is called ghost holds. I think is what they say. But essentially, have your holder down here, and he's just going to have the ball in his right hand. And you don't need the snapper, but at least then you get your operation. So he looks back, he gets a head nod, and then now he just puts the ball down. So one, you're helping the snapper, get some work without a snap, but hitting the spot and tilt. But then it's not perfect for the kicker. So those guys are practicing like, hey, the spot was off a little bit, and hey, the tilt wasn't perfect. Because you see all these guys that kick off the sticks all the time, the sticks, and then all of a sudden you get the element of an operation. Mentally they're all like, they're start worrying about stuff that they shouldn't worry about. And for us, it's control what you can control. I can control, when I start for my operation, I can control jumping into the ball. I control my follow through. I shouldn't even be thinking about, hey, is it going to be a good snap? Hey, is it going to be a good hold? Like that can't be in my vision. Now we're getting just our full operations. So again, snap, hold, we're rolling with it. Good jab, we're coming into it. Again, really good with his hips here as this thing's playing out. Like a slide up, but not very much. Plant foot's at his target, hips are at his target. Again, gets through the ball, through 2 targets right there. And, we get one that squeaks in. So overall, really, really good rep there. Now, as far as workload and all that stuff, like for us, we have our guys kick twice a week before games. So we'll kick really heavy on Tuesday. We'll kick moderately on Thursday. And then we play on Saturday.